Hey, what is up guys? Welcome back to another video. And in this video, we are going to be continuing on with our C# tutorial series. And in this tutorial, we are going to be taking a look at how we can use special characters in our strings. These two particular special characters that we're going to take a look at are the ones that we use more often than not. And those are the new line characters, or rather the new line character and the tab character. Now, if you've ran into other pieces of code on the internet, you may have seen something like a \t or a \n. Those are the two characters we're looking at here, right? So let's say, for example, we have a let's say we have a scoreboard, right, for a game, and we say decimal, or rather, no, let's do it, make it an integer just to make it even. So int player 1 score, and we're going to set that equal to, let's say, 20. And then we have another integer called player 2 score, and we're going to set that equal to 19. And then we have int player 3 score, and we're going to set that equal to 22. So now we have 3 scores, all relatively close to one another. Right, and so we can do this by saying, now, let's say we want to output this to the console now, and we want to make sure that there's a tab in between player 1, player 2, player 3, and their scores. Well, we can say console.writeLine, and in here we can say quote, and inside here player 1 colon, and then here is where we want to have our tab. We want to have our tab right after our colon. So how do we do a tab then? Well, in order to do a tab in a string, you need to give it a \t. And you can see that changes a different color in the editor than the normal string text does. And that's because Visual Studio detects that this is a special character. It's not a normal part of a string. And so if we then say opening and closing curly braces with a 0, we can pass it the player 1 score like that. And the same thing applies to the others. However, instead of player 1, we need player 3, player 2, two, 3. Okay. And so now that we have those 3 lines put in for outputting our scores, each with their own tab character and their own string interpolation, we're going to go ahead and we're gonna save our code and do a Control F5. Now you can see we have our output, player 1, colon, tab, and then the score, and so on and so forth. It just that's exactly what we want it to do. However, there is one problem with this code, and that is a lot of the time you don't want this many console write lines in your code if you're doing a console app. Many times in console apps, if they have multiple entries like this that can be, that are very, very similar with some changed values, but generally speaking, the format is the same. Console apps will use loops, and then they will append each thing to, each item to a single string, and then it'll console write line that entire string, rather than doing separate console write lines. However, we're not in a position where we can do any loops because we don't know how to do those yet. Right? So I'm going to show you one way that we can do it where we manually append the strings to one another. And so we can call this string output. And we're going to set it to an empty string for now, right? Next, we want to have a output plus equals or rather equals, let's say here we're gonna do we could do something like this where we say player 1 colon tab plus player 1 score and call it a day. But there's an easier way and a way that we can use where we can still use string interpolation. And this way is by using string with a capital S, or is it, no, I don't think we need to use the capital S. We can just do string dot format. And in here, it takes a formatted string. So that includes a string interpolation. And so in here, we can say player 1 score like that, but we're not done yet, right? We want to give it the 3 player scores. Okay, let's see. Player 1 score, player 2 score, player 3 score. And so you can see that string.format is similar to console write line in what arguments it takes. But it's not this, but it doesn't work the same way in that string.format doesn't go and return stuff, or rather it doesn't go and put stuff into the console. It will return a string. It'll return the result of the formatted string. But other than that, it doesn't output anything to the console. Here, inside of this string, in fact, let's put the parameters on their own lines, so that way it's a little bit easier to read. Okay. And now okay. And so now let's go ahead and go up to the string here. We can say player 1 colon tab with the backslash T, do a 0, and now we need to go on to another line for the player 2. And how do we do that? Well, that is with the backslash N. N standing for new line. And you can see again, the backslash N changed to a different color than the normal string color because, again, Visual Studio went and recognized it as a special character. And then we can say player 2 colon backslash T, left and right curly brace with a 1, another backslash N, and player 3 backslash T, okay, backslash N, okay, and then we can say player 3 colon backslash T, and then have a 2 in there. Okay, so now if we save this, okay, so now if we go ahead and save our code, and we do a Control F5, and there it is. You can see we have our player 1, player 2, player 3 from our initial way of doing it, using the 3 console write line statements, and now we have our second way of doing it, and it outputs the same thing. So this basically does it for this video on special characters in strings using C#. Thank you all so very much for watching, and we will see you all in the next one.